Welcome back, my 7th grade advanced class. Let's go ahead and get your homework going. I'm going to start off with the odd one, so I'll do number 1. It says evaluate, which means find the answer. I know I have to follow PEMDAS. PEMDAS says I do parentheses first, but in the parentheses I have a number with an exponent minus a regular number. I can't do that, so I have to solve the exponent first. 3 to the second power is 9. Now I have 9 minus 8 in the parentheses, and again, I still must do parentheses first before I add to the number 4. So 9 minus 8 will be 1, and 1 plus 4 will be 5. So, I'm sorry, that should be 4. I don't even know how that came up. Plus 4 equals 5. Final answer. All right, on number 3, the exponent must come first, so I'm going to have 10 to the 10 times 10, that's 100. And now I must take 4 times 3 and multiply it before I add 100, because multiplication comes before addition. This would be 12 plus 100. And 12 plus 100 would equal 112. Done. Let's go ahead and move on to identifying terms, coefficients, and constants. All right, a term is any number or any set of numbers and letters split up by the signs, positive or negative. So my terms, and I'm just going to type this out to be easier. My terms would equal H, 9, and G. Those are all my terms here. My coefficients would equal, well, they're the number that's in front of each of the variables. There's no number in front of these variables, which means both of them have a 1 in front of them automatically. So 1 and 1. I'm going to put both of them because these are 2 different variables, so each one of them will have 1. Next is constants. And that's going to equal the number that never changes. H and G can change. I don't know what they're going to be. But 9 will never change. So that would be a 9. And that's the answers to number 5. All right, let's go to number 7. It says, write the phrase as an expression. Expression does not have an equal sign. So if I was going to write this one, the quotient of 22 and a number, quotient means a division problem, right? And every division problem is really a fraction. 22, the quotient of 22 and a. So 22 divided by a. All right, I'm going to let you do number 8. Number 9 says, which property of equality, can you use to solve the equation modeled by the algebra tiles? Solve the equation and explain your method. All right, so if I'm doing this one here, I'm looking at positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a positive 5. And it says, let's see here, equals, or is this a minus sign? I think that's a minus sign. So if it was a minus sign, it would be minus 1. I know my answer is going to be 4, but I have to realize it's saying solve the equation. The equation has an equal sign. I'm starting to think this is an equal sign. What I'm going to do is drag this down here a little bit and see if that is an equal sign instead of a negative sign. It is definitely an equal sign, not a negative sign. Glad I double checked. Well, that could have been problematic. So now that I know this, I have to realize that I'm taking, this is going to equal 1, okay? So let's see, we're talking a negative sign, so that's a negative 1. These are negative signs as well. This is negative 5. Something plus negative 5, so some number minus 5. Let's see here, is going to go ahead and, yeah, some number, some positive number minus 5 is going to equal -1. And if we were to do this, I would have to go ahead and take, let's see, does it say to solve it? Yeah, solve it. If I'm going to solve this one, I would say I'd have to add 5 to both sides to get x alone. And that would give me -1 plus 5. Remember, the rule is if my signs are different, I find the difference. The difference is the answer to the subtraction problem. I take the big number minus the small number. That's the 1 there. That gives me 4. And then I keep the sign of the big number. The big number was positive here. So x will equal 4. All right, 10 is yours to do. Let's go to number 11. Number 11 says x plus 12 equals 7. That tells me I'm going to have to subtract 12 from both sides to get x by itself. Remember, I want to isolate x. I want x to equal something in the end. To do that, I need to get everything away from x. So the opposite of positive 12 is -12. Whatever I subtract from one side, I subtract from the other side. So now x comes down. 12 minus 12 is 0. I'm not going to put that down there because y adds 0. And then 7 minus 12, that's a -5. So x is -5. Number 13 says -9 plus p equals 12. I'll have to add 9 to get p by itself. Now p is alone. And whatever I add to one side, I have to add to the other side of my equation. So now I have 12 plus 9. 12 plus 9 is going to give me 21. So P must be 21. All right, we're coming down to number 15, and they really didn't do much different over here. I see some decimals and then regular numbers, solve the equations. Looks like we're doing the same thing we did up there. You guys already know how to do this. Instead of doing number 15, I'm going to do number 14 for you because it does deal in decimals. You're really going to learn nothing new if I do number 15. So over here, to get y by itself, I would subtract 2.5. Now, the only thing you have to remember with decimals is to line up your decimals when you're combining them. So over here, I would have to put -2.5, putting my decimal lined up with the decimal in 3.5. The y is going to come down. So does my equal sign. Remember, when my signs are the same, I find the sum. The sum is the answer to an addition problem. So I've got to add these together. 3.5 and 2.5 equals 6. And when my signs are the same, I keep the same signs. So since they're both negative, it will be a -6. All right? I'm going to let you do 15 and 16 because I was supposed to do 15 on that one. So you owe me 2 on there. Let's go to number 17. Solve equations using addition or subtraction. Solve the equation. Well, this time they're giving us fractions. And we would be worried about fractions, but we know how to go ahead and combine them as well. We're going to do the same thing. I want to get d by itself. So I'm going to subtract 1/6. Whatever I subtract from one side, I subtract from the other side of the equal sign. D comes down. We never did anything with it. So does the equal sign. 1/6 minus 1/6 is 0. I'm not going to put 0 here because y adds 0 to anything. Now I have 5/6 minus 1/6. 5 minus 1 is 4. So this will be 4/6. The bigger number was positive, so this would be a positive 4/6. But 4/6 can be reduced to 2/3 by dividing 4 and 6 by 2. So I'm going to say final answer, D equals 2/3. All right, number 19, same thing, but using decimals. I've got a negative 1.4. I'm simply going to add 1.4. I'm doing this once again to get n by itself. Whatever I add to one side of this equal sign, I have to add to the other side. So I'm going to add 1.4. I'm going to line up my decimals here. I realize my signs are different. When my signs are different, I find the difference. Difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So I'm going to subtract the big number, 6.3. minus 1.4. And I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number was 6.3, so this would be a negative answer. I know that 3 minus 4 I can't do, so I'll have to borrow one. When I do, this will become 5. Sorry, my mouse is acting up. And this will become 13. 13 minus 4 is 9. 5 minus 1 is 4. So this is negative 4.9. So n equals negative 4.9. All right, let's go on to number 21. Number 21 says a game of bowling has 10 frames. After 5 frames, your friend's bowling score is 65, and your bowling score is 8 less than your friend's score. Write and solve an equation to find your score. All right, let's go ahead and look at this more closely. All right, it says that your friend's score was 65, and your score is 8 less than your friend, so that's minus 8. This is pretty easy. 65 minus 8 is going to give us, 57. Remember, when my signs are different, I find the difference. I take the big number minus the small number, and I keep the sign of the bigger number. All right, now it says, by the end of your game, your friend's score has doubled. Well, let's see, his friend's score was 65, so 65 times 2 is going to give us, well, looks like 130. Your score increases by 80. Well, you had 57. If I take 57 and I add 80, that's going to give me a 137. Who wins the game? Well, that'd be you. It says to explain, so because 137 is greater than 130. Pretty easy, right? All right, let's go to, let's see, that was mine. So that means 23 is mine. Solving equations using multiplication division. Now we're multiplying. Well, we have 4 equals negative 0.8n. Pretty sure you've learned this already, but let's go and refresh. Anytime we have a coefficient in front of a variable, it means they're being multiplied to each other. We want to get the variable by itself. Like I said, you have to do the opposite of what you see. You might think you have to do the opposite of subtracting, but these two are not being subtracted, right? They are being multiplied to each other. So I'm going to have to do the opposite of multiplication, that's division. Remember, every fraction is a division problem. So I'm going to divide, I'm going to turn this into a fraction, which means I'm going to divide the coefficient negative 0.8 away. And that's going to leave me with n by itself. But whatever I divide from one side, I have to divide from the other side. So I'm going to have to divide 4 by negative 0.8. This requires a little bit of calculator work, so I'm going to go ahead and put in here, I think it's going to be like negative 2 or negative 1 over 2. No, I think a negative 2, but let's guess. Let's stop guessing and do this as 4 divided by 0.8, and that gives us 5, 5. So since it's a positive divided by a negative, it should be a negative 5, negative 5n. Glad I used that calculator. All right, almost started going ahead and thinking that we were going to reduce, but we have to divide, negative 5. All right, I'm going to number 25. You have 22 and 24 to do. Solve each equation using multiplication division. If I do 25, I'm going to see that I have dividing by 2. The only way to do the opposite of dividing by 2 is to multiply by 2. Right? And whatever I multiply to one side, I'll multiply to the other side. Pen is just acting up. All right. And now I have 7.3 times 2. I want to make sure I get this right. 7.3 times 2 is going to give us 14.6. And that means m, remember I multiplied by 2 and divided by 2, that got m by itself. So m must equal 14.6. I had to double check something. I want to make sure that I was doing that correctly. I'm glad I did. Let's go and do number 27 together now. 27 says that I'm going to take 3 over 2 and it equals 9 over 10k. In this case, since 9 over 10 is being multiplied to k, I'm going to go ahead and divide 9 over 10 away. Now you might think, how are you going to do that? Remember, a fraction over a fraction requires us to use KCL. So I'm going to have to keep my top one the same. I'm going to flip my bottom one, which would make it 10 over 9, and then I'm going to multiply. So now you can see I have a 10 in my numerator and denominator, which makes it go away, and my 9 in my numerator and denominator, which makes it goes away. Now k is by itself. But whatever I multiplied to one side, I had to multiply to the other side. So I'm going to have to multiply 10 over 9 to 3 over 2. That's going to give me 30 over 18. I can reduce this because 30 over 18 is both of them are divisible by 2. That will give me 15. Actually, they're both divisible by 3. I'm going to go a step further here and say they're even both divisible by 6. 30 divided by 6 is 5, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. So 5 over 3 is k. And for those that missed that, watch very carefully. 30 over 18. Let's do it like I wanted to. First, let's divide it by 2. If we do that, we see that we get 15 over 9. Now both of these are divisible by 3. And that would be 5 over 3. And that's exactly what I got over here, right? 5 over 3. This can also equal 1 2/3 because we know that 5 is divisible by 3 one time with a remainder of 2. All right, let's move on to number 29. Solve the equation, check your answer. Over here, I'm multiplying by 6 over 7 as I did on the other one. I will multiply by 7 over 6. I'll use the inverse. Whatever I multiply to one side, I multiply to the other. This is a -2, so 7 times -2 is -14. And the 6 will remain on the bottom. And that's going to equal P. We know 14 is divisible by 6 2 times. So this is actually going to be equal to -2. And there'll be 2 left over, 2 6. And 2 and 6 are both numbers that can be divided by 2. And so that will go ahead and give us 1 over 3. So our final answer is going to be -2 1/3. All right, let's go ahead and go to number 31. You be the teacher. Your friend solves this equation. Is your friend correct? He says -1.5 plus k equals 8.2. He's going to add a -1.5 over here. That's totally incorrect. Remember, what I need to do is add 1.5 over here, which means I will be adding 1.5 over here. So this should be a plus, not a subtraction sign. When I do this, I'm not going to get 6.7. I'm going to get 8.2 plus 1.5. I add these two numbers together, I get 9.7. So no. And there's my work explaining it. All right, let's go to 33. You clean a community park for 6.5 hours. You earn 42.25. How much do you earn per hour? Okay, you clean a park for this many hours. You earn this much. How much do you earn per hour? That's simple division. That's 42.25 divided by 6.5. All right, let's see how we're going to do this. We have to move the decimal over 1, which we'll move it over once here. Our decimal is going to be here. How many times does 65 go into 422? I know 6 goes into 42, I think 7 times, but since I have a 5 there, I'm going to go with 6. Let's just try that. 6.5 times 6. That's going to give us 39. So I'm going to put 6 over here and put 39 here. And that's going to leave us 5 and 2. And this would be 3. Now, how many times does 6.5 go into 325? I'm going to shoot for, let's see, 5 times. Let's see what happens. I'm going to erase this. And 65 times 5 is going to equal, look at that. So I cleaned the park for this minute. I'm going to earn $6.50 an hour then. All right, let's scroll down to number 35. I hope that these are getting close to the end here. Wow, we still have so many to go. All right, 35 says, after earning interest, the balance of an account is 420. The new balance is 7.6 of the original. How much interest did I earn? Well, I know that this is going to be 420 has to equal 7.6 times x. Remember, it's 7.6 of whatever the original balance is. We're trying to find that original balance. To solve this, I'm going to multiply this side to 6 over 7. The inverse of 7 over 6. That's going to leave me x over here, because the 6's will cancel out, and so will the 7's. But whatever I multiply to one side, I have to multiply the other. So I'm going to multiply 420 to 6 over 7. All right. I could do this the long way and multiply 6 to 420, then divide it by 7. I also could remember this is the same as 42 over 1. I know 7 times 6 is 42. So 7 times 60 would be 420. I could take this out and say they're both divisible by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 420 divided by 7 should equal 60. Now I have 6 times 60, and that's going to be 360. So my answer is 360. All right. How much interest did it earn? Let's see. After earning interest, the new balance in the account was 420. The new balance is 7.6 of the original balance. How much interest did it? Well, hold on. The new balance is 7.6 of the original. I'm starting to think we're going to have to subtract here. And because it's saying the new balance is 7.6 of the original balance. This is the original balance then. If this is the original balance, and they want to know how much interest you earned, I'm going to have to take the old balance, which is 420, and minus the original balance, which is 360, and that will tell me how much interest I made. 0, 6, right? That's it, $60. So $60 is how much I made off of on interest. Okay. Let's go to number 37. Solve. Cedar Point, an amusement park in Ohio, has some of the tallest roller coasters in the United States. The Ragararu is, I guess that's a roller coaster. Raga, I don't know how to say that. Is 165 feet shorter than the Millennium Force. These two must be roller coasters. Oh, there we go. Yeah. I'm not even going to try to go and do this. They're basically saying that this roller coaster is 165 feet shorter than this roller coaster. So what is the height of it? Well, if it's 165 shorter, this is going to be 310 minus 165. And that tells me I'm going to have, let's see, that's going to be 5. I'll have to borrow 1. That'll make that 11. I'll have to borrow 1 from there, which makes it 10. And so 10 minus 5 is 5. Then 10 minus 6 is 4. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. That's 145 feet. So the answer is 145 feet. All right, let's look at number 39. Yeah, 39. Oh, solve the equations. Oh boy. This time they have absolute value signs. We have to remember the absolute value sign means how far a number is from 0. All right. So if this is the absolute value sign, this is really 12 is equal to W minus 7, because negative 7 is 7 away from 0. Now that negative doesn't belong in here, so it doesn't go away. When I solve this, I'll add 7 to both sides to get W by itself. And that means 19 is equal to W. All right, next I have number 41. 41 says solve these equations. If I was to solve this, just little decimals here, we're going to combine these up. Our like terms are 2.8, and is this a plus sign or division sign? I'm going to have to check in the book because I really can't make that out. And I see that is a division sign in the book, so let's go ahead and work that out. We got D. And now remember, we got to do PEMDAS first on each side until we can't do it anymore. Then we'll work it in reverse. So we're going to have negative 2.8 divided by 0.2. I think that's going to be something like 14. Let me double check here. We've got 2.8. We're dividing that by 0.2. Yep, 14. So this is going to be negative divided by positive will give us a negative 14. That equal negative 14. This is going to be weird. Okay, so what I see here is I'm going to be adding 14 to each side to get D by itself. The equal sign comes down. 14 minus 14 is 0, so D has to equal 0. All right, number 43, let's work this one. I've got two numbers here that I have to multiply to each other. This will give me P, and this looks like a negative, so this would be negative 1/4 times 3. Remember, this is like 3 over 1, so this would be a negative 3 over 4. All this has to equal negative 5 over 6. Now, since I'm subtracting 3.4, the only thing I can do to solve this would be to add 3.4 to get rid of it. this will go ahead and give me P by itself over here. But whatever I add to one side, I have to add to another side. I have unlike terms because I have 6 for a denominator, not unlike terms, I'm sorry. Unlike denominators, I have 6 as a denominator here and 4 here. We're going to have to find common denominators. I can multiply 6 times 2 and get 12, and 4 times 3 and get 12. So I'm going to multiply this to 2 over 2. Remember, I'm allowed to multiply any number to 1. I'm just multiplying 5 over 6 to a version of 1, 2 divided by 2. So this is negative 5 times 2 will give me negative 10. And 6 times 2 is 12. And over here, this is going to be times 3 over 3. 3 times 3 equals 9. And 4 times 3 is 12. Now we have negative 10 and positive 9. Remember, when my signs are different, I find the difference. That means I have 10 minus 9, which is 1. And I keep the sign of the bigger number, so it'll be a negative 1. So that means this is going to be equal to negative 1 over 12. All right, let's move on to number 45. It says, the volume V of the prism is 2,212 cubic inches. Use the formula, volume equals length times width times height, to find the height of the pyramid. Oh boy. Okay, so they're saying volume equals length times width times height. It's also saying that the volume is 2,210 inches, cubic inches. And all this equals length times width times height. Well, let's look at this for a minute. The length is given 13. The width is given 10. The only thing that is given is the height. So now we can solve this by solving for h by using the other numbers that represent these variables. I know 13 times 10 is 130. So I know this is going to be 130 times h will equal 2,210. Now I can remember whatever I multiply to something to get h by itself, I will divide it away, which means I will have to divide 2,210 by 130 to find h. So let's try it. We've got 2,210 divided by 130. That's going to give us 17. So h is 17. The height of this prism equals 17. And since it's in inches, it's 17 inches long. All right, let's go to number 47. Without drawing, determine whether the solution of negative 2x equals 15 is greater than or less than, without solving, excuse me, not drawing, without solving, determine whether the solution of negative 2x equals negative 15 is greater than or less than negative 15. Okay. Is it going to be less than or greater than? I know in order to go ahead and solve for this, I'm going to have to divide negative 2, which means I'll have to divide negative 15 by negative 2. Since I know negative 15 will get divided by a negative 2, I know I'm going to have a negative number divided by a negative number. And a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And any positive number is bigger than a negative number. So it's going to be greater than. Greater than negative 15, because when I divide my coefficient, my negative coefficient, excuse me, by negative 15, I will get a positive number, since all positive numbers are greater than negative numbers, my answer must be greater than negative 15. All right, 48's for you to do. I'm down to number 49. Oh, we're getting close to the end. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, number 49. Ants of a particular species can carry 50 times their body weight. All right, 50 times their body weight. It takes 32 ants of a species to carry the cherry shown. About how much does each ant weigh? Okay, 32 ants to carry this cherry over here, and it says they can carry 50 times their body weight. It takes 32 ants to carry the cherry. How much does each ant weigh? Okay. It says 32 ants to carry that. I feel like I'm missing something here. I'm going to go look back in the book and see if it gives the weight of the cherry. There, I found the missing information I needed, that these cherries weigh 4,800 milligrams. If I was going to solve this, I would say that, let's see, any particular species can carry 50 times their body weight, so 50 times their body weight, right? It takes 32 ants of that species to carry the cherry. All right. So that would mean that I'm multiplying this by 32 different ants, right? 32, not 33, sorry. And this was 50 times their body weight, so that's X. That's got to equal 4,800. 32 times 50. Let's see, 32 times 50. It's going to be, well, the 0 goes there. There's a 0 here, carry the 1. That's going to be 1516. So we're going to have 1,600 X equals 4,800. And then we're going to divide 1,600 away from X. So we can get X by itself. 4,800 divided by 1,600, I believe, is 3. And since we're talking about milligrams, milligrams. So that means that each ant, these ants must weigh 3 milligrams each. Okay. See, that's 49. Let's try. I guess I've got number 51, and 52 is yours. Okay. What happened to 50? I'm going to have to check this really quick. Hold on a second. There we go. That looks like that it covered up 50. So I'm going to take this and cover this up, as not to confuse anybody. So 51 is mine to do. And it looks like my last one. Oh, thank you. See, it says here, dig deeper. You use a crowdfunding website to raise money. Okay, crowdfunding website to raise money. I'm really tired. The website keeps 5% of each donation. 5 of your friends each donate the same amount, all right? They keep 5% of the donations, all right? So your friends are donating, there's 5 of your friends, and they each donate the same amount, that'll be X, okay? The total funding you receive is $47.50. So this was the amount, and this is going to be subtracting 5%, right? So subtracting, when I move that back, 0.05x, right? Because whatever it is that I'm getting, I'm going to subtract, yeah, 0.05 of that funding. Okay, so all right, whatever they give, I'm going to subtract that amount, and then I have to multiply it by 5. So I guess I would really be setting it up like this. Okay, how much does your friend, how much do each of your friends donate? Okay, you know what? I take it back because this 0.05 is going to be applied to all of it, I believe. So I'm not sure we need those parentheses after. Now, in fact, we could do this, but you would really have to take off the X if you were going to do it. And then you'd have, yeah, 5, yeah, because this would be the amount that they went ahead and donated minus the 0.5, and there's 5 of them. So you're going to have to minus that from each one. 5 times X will be 5X. And then minus, well, 5 times 0.05 would be 0.25, right? And then, let's see. Whew, no, you know what? It would be times X. Take that back. Sorry. 5x minus 0.25x would give us 4.75x. That would equal 47.50. So yes, I did need that parentheses. I did have it right the first time. I kind of second guessed myself there, but it makes sense now because each one of my friends is going to get charged 0.05. So out of the total amount that we get, the amount each one of them, which is X, that are going to donate, we have to multiply by 5. That means I got to take that 0.05 and multiply it by 5 as well. So now I'm going to have to divide 4.75 away. And that will make me have to divide 4.75 away from 47.5. X comes down by itself. Gotten rid of this, and now that should give me 10 because it looks like the same number, but decimal point moved over. So the total funding you received, how much did each friend donate? $10. Looks like each friend donated $10. And 52 is yours. Oh, thank you. I am done with my homework for the night, which means you guys got a long list of homework to do tonight. Good luck.